Headlines Pod, episode 10. And actually, we're going to make a little change. We're going to change it. We're going from, I'm doing a little rebrand. I used to do a podcast like this back in the day with my dad, and I'm changing the name back up. I think I like the old name better. So we're going with Right Brain Forest. So Right Brain Forest Pod with your host, Eden Huff. Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, whichever time you're tuning in, morning maybe. Yeah, so Right Brain Forest Podcast, episode 10. We're going to dive right in with a little dab with our Dr. Dabber here. Again, good, courteous sponsors of the show. They just dropped a new device. I think it's called the Ghost. I'm looking forward to trying that soon. Let's crank this up. Let's see what we got. And yeah, headlines, we'll see. I don't know how many jokes I have with the headlines this week. Some stuff's, I got some jokes, some stuff, we'll rant about, we'll riff, we'll see where we end up going with this. Again, shout out Dr. Dabber, best e-rig on the market. Dabber got me lit. So we're going to start this episode of Right Brain Forest off with a new section. This one's called The Fuck, and it's just kind of when you, many times in life, you know what you know. You're like, I know what's up with this. And then sometimes you read something and you're like, the fuck are you telling me? The fuck did you just say? Whoa. Okay, I guess I didn't really know shit about that the way I thought I did. And so this is an article. This is a section that will be for things that kind of just hit me like that. So I don't know that it'll always be in every episode, but this time we're starting off with it because this article I was very much just like, the fuck are you telling me? This is crazy. So this is a few weeks old now, maybe a month or so, where this is a New York Times article, and it's talking about Figueroa Street in Los Angeles. And I grew up in Los Angeles, I grew up in Huntington Beach. That's not true. I grew up near Los Angeles. My dad lived in LA, and I'd go visit him on the weekends. So, I spent weekends there in different parts of LA. And so I kind of have always had a, understanding of the vibe there. There's a lot of gangs, and there's a lot of street activity and crime and drugs. And when you're driving around, sometimes at night, you see girls out, you see, these young women in lingerie, and when I was first 16, I was like, the fuck is that? And I was like, what is that? And then, my dad or whoever's just like, oh yeah, those are prostitutes. I was probably younger than 16. I was probably like 13 or whatever. I was like, what am I seeing? This doesn't seem right. And he's like, oh yeah, those are prostitutes. So saw that, always observed a little bit of it, but it's always been a little, we'll just say reserved, I suppose. It's like certain blocks, certain areas, and there's always been a certain level of these girls have to watch their back because the police could just come up and arrest them, obviously for trying to do solicitation. So what this article is about is apparently in 20... Goddamn. So what this article is about, it's this section in Los Angeles on Figueroa Street where it's called the Blade. And it used to be a few blocks, 3 to 5 blocks. And now it stretches 3 miles. And it's one of the largest human trafficking corridors in the world. This is what prompted me to read this article at first. I saw a video of which these Instagrams are weird. This is a weird type of content to just commit to doing it. And they have a lot of followers, but these guys just drive around with dashboard cams down in LA and down in other areas where there's a high concentration of prostitutes. And I saw the video and I was like, whoa, I was like, there's a lot of women out here and they're just dressed more provocative than I had ever remember seeing when I lived in LA, and in much larger groups and just much more out. And so I Googled this because it was definitely a change from, I was just kind of the fuck am I looking at? I never saw this before, and at least, to this extent. And so this article is written by the New York Times, and it's following a few different cases, but it's following how there's there's been this major transition in Los Angeles where the lawmakers had changed the laws to stop. Okay, so there was a woman, black trans woman, and she's an apartment owner or homeowner, leases out her properties. So she was in front of one of her two properties and she was checking on it, and these police arrested her. And the police, when she was getting arrested, she was like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And they're like, you know what you're doing, like, you know what it's for. It's tricking, bitch. And so she ended up getting this case brought to the Supreme Court in the state, and then they ended up getting this law authored that that I'm sure legislators and voters thought was a good idea in principle. It was this law that stopped the police from being able to arrest people from loitering in pursuit of solicitation. So this is a thing that the police could use to just arrest prostitutes at any time. If they saw you and you were dressed too provocatively, in essence, and you're standing around, they could say, all right, well, this is loitering in the pursuit of solicitation, and it's basically akin to solicitation. So you still get some type of prostitution rap. And so this would be something that I would follow women around, and not everybody was able to do something about it. So the reason why the law was penned is because it was disproportionately affecting African Americans and Mexican American citizens, that the police were just basically saying at random, if they saw you standing around and your clothes were a certain type of way, they could just arrest you and say that you're a prostitute. So in theory, the law was supposed to be good, but now the police have no recourse for just large open air sex market, like just a straight line. So now that this line has grown in these last few years, I guess there's this huge explosion of sex work and sex trafficking in this area post-COVID. Like a lot of things, a lot of crime proliferated, especially in LA then. And so you have, in the article, it refers to all these people so they have like traffickers, which they said that there's this is the fuck moment for me. So they said that there was two types. One was the Romeo type, who they are nice and they ask them to go on dates and then convince them and then take them out and put them on the street. And then there's what they say is the gorilla types, which are they just run up and just grab these girls. And this sounds like it's an unreal plot. I don't know what the fuck Gavin Newsom is doing in their state. I don't know what this dude's so worried about trying to become the next president or beefing with the current president or whatever fucking shit is happening, that this has allowed. So there's apparently a huge percentage of these girls are underage, and the only thing that the cops can do is drive around in small units, because now they did have a centralized task force for taking care of this, for trying to handle the underage people that were being trafficked through this sex trafficking network, and they disbanded it as a collective force because they budgetary restraints. So these are the things that police should be doing. I'm not the biggest fan of cops. I don't really fuck with cops. These are the things that cops should be doing. If there's one of a few things, like domestic abuse, like bank robberies, like fucking hostage situations, and underage girls being sex trafficked in a huge open air, just no recourse. There's laws against this where if you go to other countries, when you I go to Colombia a lot, and they're one of the first things I noticed is it was the thing that you read everywhere. It was saying watch out for underage girls. It says they had this huge influx of sex tourism going to Colombia, trying to sleeping with underage children, or underage minors, and then it got so bad that they worked with the U.S. government and they started this extradition program, and then they started this international prosecution thing. And so now it's a big deal. Everywhere you go, they're make sure. And I personally, everywhere that I've ever stayed in Colombia, I have a guard and he checks everybody's IDs whenever we're hanging out and stuff like that. But I personally have never felt, I've never even, been approached by somebody that I thought could be underneath younger than 18. And so on any of the streets, because they've so significantly rooted it out as you have to be a very scummy person out here looking for this shit, and so and working with a really crazy criminal element. And so I don't understand how this is just in LA. you have Hollywood, you have Beverly Hills, you have them making all these movies here, you have the Sunset Boulevard, and then you just have Figueroa Street with just like one of these stories was so heartbreaking. This girl who she was on the streets with her sister since she was 13 and her sister was 11, and she tried to call her mom because they'd been kicked around foster homes, and she ran away, and she called her mom and asked for help, and her mom said, if you got into the game, you got to get yourself out of the game. And the way she got into the game is somebody invited her. She got online and she met somebody, and then they invited her, and they went out somewhere, and then the dude just dropped her and her sister off with a G-string, and they're like, all right, walk around out here and you got to bring me $800 or else. And this has just been this poor child's life since then. And the article goes over about how ends up meeting this woman who is trying to be down there all the time and she offers like a foster program, and she's trying to just help young girls get off the streets. She runs a non-for-profit. I think it's called Run to Home or something like that. Run to Safe, something like that. Run to Safe. So maybe check that out. But so she helped this girl get off the streets, but over the course of years, and this girl's just one story of 1,000 young people down there. And she was, like they said that they recruit them from group homes. They're just outside of these group homes. It said one of the laws or like the rules down there that she knows to live by is like, if she makes eye contact with another, they kept calling them a trafficker, but they mean pimps. But if she makes eye contact with another pimp or another pimp touches her, that it's just over. The dude just takes her, and then she has to maybe deal with an angry other pimp. And it's just, this is an insane. And it was following the police detective as well too, who's like running a special task force, which is, I guess, is like significantly understaffed. And she's out there doing undercover work, and they're arresting some people, and they're getting some of these traffickers, pimps off the streets, but it's like a very like specific setup. And even when she does get them trying to get her to join their stable, then they can arrest them. And these charges obviously don't really stick, and it's becoming this huge issue. And I was just like, the fuck is going on? How can we have so much money in that state and so much? I mean, I would say it doesn't really have that much culture. I mean, it does have some, like, a lot of cultural relevance as far as the output for movies and shit like that. But LA's culture is literally, and I mean literally, pushing your kids in a stroller past 11 to 13 to 15 to 16-year-old children in G-strings out there tricking. And you're just like, yeah, like those poor girls, like, not you, honey, but those poor girls, like we feel bad for them. We do. We feel awful. Change my tax rates? No, I don't think I would do. I'm going to do that. Like, can we do anything about this other than change my tax rates at all? No. Okay. Well, anyways, I wonder what they have at Whole Foods today. So I don't know, man. The fuck? Fix that shit. This is crazy. Broke my heart. It's a lot of it, but what are you gonna, I mean, fucking, I hope that there's, I don't know. I hope that there's some change, but I don't know. When I return to LA, I'm going to try and look into doing some volunteer work, because it sounds, yeah, it was a lot. So the fuck. I guess maybe that could also be for me. That could have also been like it has run amok, but which it really has too. But we'll move on to that. So I keep coming back to this. AI has obviously it's run amok, and it's just going to continue to go more and more rampant. And this makes no sense. So like I said, I'm right wing now. And if you're conservative, typical conservative right wing like me, you don't believe in big government. In fact, it's the whole platform is small government. You definitely don't believe in heavy government surveillance. And so, and I would assume probably you don't want an AI overlord as well. I mean, I'm like I said, now right wing MAGA podcaster, and I don't think it will make America very great for us to have AI technocrat overlords. And so the federal government is, which what part of their platform does this make sense? They're threatening states with lawsuits that are over them trying to regulate AI. So the federal government has said that it's not its job to determine whether or not women have the right to do with their bodies. The federal government said, we looked at the Constitution. The Constitution said a lot of stuff, but it doesn't say that it's the federal government's job to control what women do with their bodies, and it's not a right in here. So reproductive freedom of choice is not available, federally protected anymore. We're going to overturn this. So that same government that said that and said states have a right to do what they want. Like if a state thinks it's better for them to not allow women to have reproductive rights, then that's fine. They can decide that. They voted those people in. It's literally their choice. Is the same government that's now trying to say that if you want to put regulation on AI as a state, if you're like, hey, this seems a little crazy, let's roll this back. Let's make it so it can't just take over everything in my state. It can't overrun all of our jobs. It can't put my constituents out of work and then also maybe leave them in unsafe and less than desirable living conditions, or have a negative impact on their life in any way whatsoever. I want to regulate that. The federal government says, nah, bitch. That's not cool, dude. That's not cool. You can't do what you want with your body. And also you can't do what you want with AI. You can't allow us to not do what we want with AI. So they're trying to say that the federal action on national AI policies and standards insists that harmonized oversight is necessary to compete globally, especially with rivals like China. They're just telling you they want the AI overlord. They're just straight up like, look, AI overlord, tech lord is coming. You have two decisions. You can get on. I already had this conversation last time. We're closer to Thanksgiving this time. This is the conversation. Are you down to be a technonaut or not? Are you down to have the Neuralink in your brain next Christmas? Yes or no now. Decide gam, or else I'm going to decide for you. They're like, you can't interfere with the tech overlord. Like if we make an AI system and it gets shackled in any way in any part of our country, it's going to hold us back. It's not going to allow us to compete with China. And we all know those little commie bastards can't get fucking Skynet. Like if the commie bastards get Skynet, we're cooked. If we build Skynet, we're fine. And if you regulate that at all, then that's going to impede our ability to get Skynet before China. Do you want Terminator? Do you want fucking naked robots coming back in time with just wildly obscure accents, just like take me to your Sarkana, like Sarkana, like just fucking running through streets, just terminating? Like, you have two options. Either you allow Terminators, or you don't regulate AI in your state. Which one? To me, easy choice. Easy choice every time. Obviously, it's Terminators. That would be fucking cool. Sell Connor. Get to the chopper. Give me your clothes. That was my favorite line. Laundry day, nothing clean. Give me your clothes. So I think that's just fucking out of hand. You can't do what you want with your bodies, and also you can't choose, or you can choose to let people not do what they want with their bodies. And also you can't choose to limit robot overlord slaves, masters. Who's winning? The American fucking some population of the American public is winning all the time now, and some population is in perpetual loss. There's betting. Internet betting has consumed everybody and everything. So it's not only can you bet on these sports, and can you bet on these digital pokers and these fucking digital roulettes or whatever it all is, You can also now bet on just anything. Like you could probably bet on what, I mean, wouldn't get a lot of money, but you could definitely set up a bet on whether or not my podcast will come out on time or something like that. It's just easy. You could literally, it's anything. It's like, I haven't been on this shit yet. I don't gamble. I personally am not a fan of gambling unless big gambling wants to, shoot some money to me to gamble with. Maybe, maybe I have a good time. Maybe my tune changes on that a little bit. We'll see. But I'm not a gambling man, so I haven't even looked at this shit. But from what I've seen, yeah, you can bet on just about anything. It's like, I guess some of my news I get from South Park a little bit, I guess. So I saw that on South Park first. And yeah, so all of Americans, in essence, are a huge percentage of them now are just in a constant state of like they probably just started an office pool. They're like, do you think that fucking do you remember that episode of The Office where they make some type of silly bet? Maybe not, but there's an episode of The Office where they make some type of silly bet with whether or not this one lady will say something about like how it's raining cats and dogs outside. So every office now they're like running a football pool, probably they're running like a fantasy league, and then they're running a league to see if Dave, the retarded intern, or the idiot intern, is gonna fuck up the boss's coffee for the third time that week and get scalded or something like that. Just like, dude, get that. I said no foam. You gonna cry? So yeah, this is a interesting new world that we're in, where you can make a bet on really anything, and maybe you win big. Maybe I don't really know. I don't know what the odds are. I don't know what the odds are and things on there. Don't really quote me on it too much, other than if you're a gambling woman, check it out. See what it's all about. I don't even know what the site's called, but you can Google it. You can find it. Okay, no surprise. ICE is deleting footage from there. So there's a civil rights complaint. I'm sure there's lots of civil rights complaints against ICE right now. So there's a civil rights complaint at this facility in Chicago. And the day after they filed the lawsuit about the complaint of just like these terrible conditions, the ICE facility people had like a malfunction. They had a digital malfunction, and they lost all the footage from that time period. So they're like, we don't know, man. We don't know. We have no idea. We don't know anything about any civil rights violations, or we know anything about any tapes. And the stance that they've taken is just like, what do you mean we should keep footage? Like, you know what? You know how much footage we have here? You know how much fucking data we have stored at this ICE facility with, like a few hundred maybe closed circuit cameras? You know how much fucking data we have in this bitch? We literally, how about this? How about this? You Americans want us to save, I think this is a literal quote, more or less. You Americans want us to save all this data. How about you guys start sending us in hard drives and we'll put it there? Like, this was from like 2 months ago. This isn't from something that this is like a 10-year-old or 5-year-old or even a couple-year-old. This is like within a couple months. And then immediately after the lawsuit was filed, the ICE facility just like, oh yeah, we had a power surge. And like, what do you mean a power surge? Like, oh yeah, fucking, this shit just happens all the time. We like coffee and donuts, and we are prone to dunking the donuts in the coffee as fat pigs do, and we just spill that all over the console and fucking wiring. And yeah, sometimes we just lose we just lose data. We just lose like weeks and weeks of footage at a time, just being fat slobs. So what are you gonna do? And no fucking surprise. No surprise that ICE has got human rights violations. No surprise that they're fat pigs. No surprise that they have to fucking, yeah, they just delete the footage, and they're just like, what? Like, literally, suck it, dude. We have so much fucking money, and no matter what we do, we're going to be pardoned. In the worst case scenario, I shoot a guy dead on in the face for looking at me funny, and I'll say he looked like a Mexican. He looked like a Mexican. He was coming right at me, and then all the body cam footage could show that it was basically a white protester just being like, fuck you, you stupid pig, and then cowering away, and then he just comes up and shoots him execution style, and they'd still be like, well, President Trump is going to pardon him because you know, that's just what he'd be doing right now. Fucking any, you know, if you're down with the cause, you're getting pardoned. So no surprise. Trump's lowering the tariffs also too. He's like, what do you mean the fucking economy isn't doing better? Like, what, dude, I keep telling you prices are down. And all these reporters over and over and over keep being like, well, consumer index. He's like, I don't care about, I fired that bitch. Didn't I fire that bitch anyways? And they're like, well, yeah, but all the, like now there's third party or whatever consumer indexes, and they're saying that the prices aren't down. And also all these people who voted for it. He's like, what did that bitch say? He's like, tell her she's wrong. Straight up. Hold on. Run that back. He said, hold on. Run that back for me one more time. What did you say that she said? She's paying more money for food. Yeah, she's a dumb bitch. I've already said it. It's cheaper. So things aren't cheaper, and they've added the tariffs. And so that just makes it even a little less cheaper, a little more, whatever you want to call that. Some might call it more expensive. And so he's removing the tariffs on a bunch of shit like coffee and Brazilian beef and just generally just like what, like it just, this is all already nonsense. All of it is already nonsense. He doesn't even have the legal power to tariff. This is about to get thrown out on the Supreme Court. They're talking about giving rebate checks back to people, which they're acting like the Supreme Court is not about to be like if you listen to the Solicitor General's arguments about why he thinks that the president should have a power that it is in ironclad writing in the Constitution that it's vested in Congress to do the tariffs because of a random act about war economy things that doesn't say anything about tariffs, even in that respect. And when you have the conservative majority judges like John Roberts just grilling them, being like, what are you talking about? Like, none of this makes any sense. This is one of the most like loosely held together arguments for whatever you're reaching for. And so at least for the pre-argument or whatever it was, the argument before they're sitting and making the official ruling. So unless they've just completely sold themselves out, they're going to throw this out. And when they do, the US government may have to pay back the tariffs, and they may have to pay it back with interest. So they're talking, it could be $700 billion, like the 300 or 400 billion that they took in, that they might have to pay back yeah, 700. And talk about that, right? So he's talking about giving a rebate check to all Americans. So he's saying we're a capitalist country and talking shit about socialism, saying it's bad. So what he's proposing is that you put a tariff, which is paid by our merchants and our importers in this country, and then a lot of times gets passed on to the individual consumer. Like even if you're buying something from eBay, like if you were buying car parts or like a bunch of stuff from a time, and then you get it and you paid like $3,000, it shows up, and then it also has got a $2,000 or $3,000 or $1,500 tariff like fee. So you have all these people that have worked hard in a capitalist society and are buying things in a free market, and they're just getting tariffed with impunity for no good reason, without it even being a power that the president can do. And then the president's going to take all of that money and he's going to give it back to everybody evenly. He's just going to split it all up to $2,000 checks. So like if you got tariffed fucking as a company and a whatever, as a small business, which is the backbone of America, if you got tariffed as just an individual who's like exercising your right to buy things in a free market economy and maybe find a better price from a different vendor outside of America, like many capitalist business owners and individuals do, then you had to pay the price. So a bunch of fucking hillbilly rednecks in his base states that aren't buying shit because they're paycheck to paycheck and they fucking don't pay any taxes and they live off social like welfare services anyways, so they can get payouts of a fixed $2,000 increment. So how is that not socialism? Okay, I don't understand how nobody, like I said, I'm a right-wing conservative MAGA fucking podcaster now. And even I can say that's fucking socialism. Like it can't be any really, I don't know. This just makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And the Republican lawmakers are like, dude, hold on, chill out. Even if we do fucking keep this tariff money, which it doesn't look like we are, and we might have to pay it back with interest, which is like looking like a crazy amount more, which will be the actual rebates to Americans and businesses, is if they get this money that was illegally taken from them back, as seems likely. That'll be a good boom for businesses. That'll be a good boom for, yeah, like a lot of families and small businesses. And maybe bought things or were holding out to buy things that they needed. I think a lot better than just a check, like a blank, just $2,000, or not blank, but just a $2,000 fixed check if you make underneath a certain amount of money. So yeah, that seems dumb, and he's realizing it's also dumb. So he's lowering the tariffs and just picking things at random because he thinks that it would be good for food and whatever to be a little cheaper around Thanksgiving. So no surprise, because none of it made any sense at any point. Who's down this week? I mean, these people are pretty much always down, but it's the drug addicts and the homeless. They stay in a perpetual state of usually down, but the government had some fixed financing programs in like the previous budgetary allotment that would allow like Section 8 housing and certain fixed like government rebates to hold housing at certain prices for former drug addicts that have maybe been clean for 5 to 7 years away from them. And so now there will no longer be funding for them. So they have to like pay the full price for their houses, which is, you know, maybe reasonable, obviously, and then shift it to funding for new addicts and specifically specify trying to get them off the streets and these things. But which, you know, I can't really debate for, you know, it's like, you know, maybe that is a better alternative, like shift the burden. These people are, you know, they got clean and the government helped them. So why not have the government help other people to get clean? But they are going to be using it focused primarily on faith-based services. So I do find that interesting. I mean, I don't know. Faith's powerful. It's a good tool, especially to help a lot of people that are in, you know, in an addict state, but or that are battling with addiction. But I feel like maybe a diverse, more just broad, just help everybody get, you know, give that money just to everybody who's helping those people. We don't need it to be whatever way, because there's a lot of faith-based. There's a lot of other ones. Just give them the money. Oh, the Fugees rapper, Pras. I don't know how to say his name. I fucking know Wyclef Jean, and Lauryn Hill. The other guy, I don't know. I didn't really know he was there. Or, I mean, I heard him, but I didn't really know his name. But his name is Pras or something like that, Pras. And he just got sentenced to 14 years in prison for political bribery, a political bribery scheme from Malaysia. There's like serious levels to this shit, dude. First of all, how did this guy get I feel like we all do some shit to make, you know, we all maybe have a little side hustle here and there. Like like a lot of Americans, like you said, we're a capitalist society. So the side hustle's like alive. It's a game here and a lifestyle here. I mean, but this is an interesting side hustle to just be like, yeah, I'm Grammy nominated, Fugees rapper, Pras, and I also have been taking these meetings with the Malaysian billionaire, whatever his fucking name is, and I've just been kicking it in Malaysia a lot. Like, that's the thing. I kick it in Malaysia, like, you know, just I love it there. Whatever, like they got sick hotels, and sometimes in these sick hotels you just bump fucking shoulders with tech billionaires, and they want to do a little political meddling. You know what I mean? It's like who am I to judge them for that? You want to do? I'm just Grammy nominated Fugees rapper, and a Grammy award winning, maybe, I don't remember what it is, but something with my name is involved with the Grammy, the Fugees, and Lauryn Hill. So who am I to judge that you want to do a little bit of like political meddling and interference? And if you want to break me off a little scratch to help, you know, like, I mean, I'll see what I can do, you know, like this is like I said, this is America's fucking bread and butter right here. I'm about the side hustles. So interesting, you know, but he's super down bad because the US government found out and they're like, okay, you were taking these political bribes and you were using your connections, which, dude, how many places did this guy get in? Like, I guess that's just a fat pass to anywhere. You're just like, yo, I'm Grammy nominated or a Grammy award winning Fugees rapper. And everybody's just like, all right, like, well, welcome to the National Security Council. Like, you know, do you want a cocktail or what? And you're like, yeah, I wanted a cocktail, but also let me bend your ear about something. Like, how do you feel about Malaysian interests in America? And they're like, I don't keep talking. And so yeah, this dude's fucking side hustle was political interference from getting funded through bribery, through a bunch of shell. You have to look it up. It's a crazy story. Honestly, I only really got a little into it, but you know, it was interesting to say the least, because yeah, like I'm a pretty out there guy. I get into a lot of circles and a lot of rooms. But even if I was, because I do like to party in, you know, if I like to party in Thailand, I like to party in Colombia, you know, wherever. And sometimes you are, you know, sometimes you do end up, I get how it happens in the beginning. Like sometimes you do end up in these circles, like tech billionaire, you know, political fucking lobbyist group or whatever. Like sometimes you do rub shoulders with these people. But if anybody started talking to me and being like, you know, hey, you know, 20 viewer podcast watching Huff Hash selling Eden, do you want to do political meddling for like hundreds of millions of dollars, just even tens of millions of dollars? I'd be like, no, like, I'm good. Anyways, I'll see y'all on the flippity flip. So he's fucking down, dude. He's super down. Americans on healthcare are down too. The healthcare system, I guess it's like, I don't even know what's going to happen. Check your fucking premiums. I don't know how these things work, but check your premiums. They might be going up. Check your family's premiums. What I would advise is, like, the government is advising that you get on these like cheap, like shitty plans that they're like, it's Shatipa plan. It's like the, you know, it's the shitty parts of the plan, the Shatipa plan. Don't do that. And don't, you know, if you have older loved ones, don't let them do that. Try not to get off your insurance. And hopefully the government figures this out. They keep saying weird things like that they're going to give money to Americans directly, and you can I don't know, pay your own medical bills, but it's none of that's going to happen. It's this is the insurance company's job. So we'll see whatever. I mean, maybe the government, I don't know. They don't seem to have a plan either, but we'll see how that shakes out. But they're down, so watch out. Hopefully your premiums aren't doubling, tripling, going up, whatever, 30, 40%. Mine renews in July, so we'll see what's up with it then. I don't really know. Trash move. Get these kids off the drugs. For real. Like, if you have a kid right now, and not that I have that much reach, but if and when I do have the reach, and you do listen to this podcast, and you could take any bit of advice from me at any point, which I don't offer very much because I'm not the smartest person, but don't give your kids these drugs, right? These ADHD drugs. And especially if you do. So this headline is about, the story's about this young girl who she went to like a private school in LA that's like a high cost, high pressure learning academy, whatever it is, private school. And the teacher was like, yo, your kid has got some issues. Like, your kid's being, like, the principal or whatever, I guess the mom was like, your kid's being a kid and we don't know what to do about it. Like, we don't know how to teach this. We don't know how to teach better. We don't know how to be more creative or constructive. Your child is just acting like a child, and frankly, we wish that they wouldn't. So what are you going to do about this? And the mom's like, I didn't even know my kid had an issue. And they're like, yeah, you wouldn't, because you're a bad fucking mom. Anyways, do you want to be a good mom or not? Get him on these fucking Addies. And so the mom was like, okay, like, I got a word. And then so she took her daughter to the doctor, and the doctor was like, yeah, get her on these Addies, like, get her like, Addies. So she got on the Adderall, and then she was like, I guess really having a bad reaction. She was being aggressive, and the mom was like, dude, chill out, Abby. Like, you're just being a cunt now. Like, and then so took him back to the doctor's like, all right, you got her on that. And the doctor's still probably like, Addie's, how are they doing? And then she's like, she's being a cunt. Like, and he's like, oh yeah, that can happen. Like that's a side effect that happens. And he's just like, and she's like, what do we do? And he's like, have you ever tried fucking Prozac? And then she was like, no. And she's like, Prozac. So then she got on the Prozac, and then she started having anxiety. This is unfathomable to me, right? Because if somebody said this to my kid, I'd be like, all right, so I pay you money to teach my kid, do your fucking job, or I'll find somebody who will do your fucking job, right? Right? Okay, that's what we're doing here. Okay, so apologize to my child, and then I'm gonna go have a conversation with your fucking boss now. How it would go down if somebody told me my kid was, they suggested that my kid go get on Adderalls or anything like that. And mind you, I take Adderall. Okay, I have ADHD. I didn't get on them until I was 30. I'm super glad that I didn't have them as like I was a normal child, and I was highly unentertained by the conventional learning that the school offered me, and it was the most boring nonsense I've ever really had to just jump through stupid hoops to do, and offered me very nothing other than just a place to socialize and sell, honestly, drugs and fucking weed and do bits, just practice comedy bits all class long. And so I graduated with a 1 because that shit was boring as fuck, and it had nothing to do with like I said, I'm not a very bright guy, but I'm also able to do all that remedial nonsense. It just sucked to do it, and I didn't want to do that. So I didn't do that, and I'm glad that nobody was like, hey, your kid, like, I know we keep putting him in like super remedial classes, and I mean, even if they did, because my mom's the best person in the world, so even if they did do this, somebody called my mom into the office and like, hey, we think your kid might be learning like developmentally disabled. They should, like, having some type of learning issue. She'd be like, you're literally retarded, dude. Like, just like I said, I'm not the brightest guy, but I can fucking I can understand how to do remedial algebra or like recite all 50 states in a song or something. Like, so, I mean, like, what do you do in high school? Like, what's, like when you're in the basic classes, they're like, remember how to do fucking some calisthenics or whatever from PE. I don't know. It was dumb. It was all, they're like, when was the Magna Carta signed? It's like, well, I can, I think, I don't fucking know, dude. Like 1774 or something. I don't fucking know, dude. I could Google it now though. So that's the point. I remember them being like, you're not gonna always have a calculator in your pocket. Like, how? Okay, Mr. fucking Velachos. Yeah, who's the idiot now, dude? All right, with your fucking whatever, angry attitude. So get these fucking kids off the drugs. Like, they don't need it. Oh yeah. So then she goes back to the thing and she's like, I'm having anxiety. And then the doctor was like, I got one more for you. This one's gonna be a slam dunk. It's called Xanax. So they got this girl at from 13 on the Addies, on the Prozacs, and on the Xannies. And her brain chemistry's all fucked up. And bad parents, bad call, bad doctor, bad teachers, bad everything. Don't give your kids the drugs. Just fucking, be a better parent. It's probably the key thing. Like, pay more attention to your kids. That's the thing. All kids want is attention. Give it to them. Either it's good or bad. That's what they're gonna be like. Not too hard. Okay. What grinds my gears? These definitely. So if you're on the West Coast, or maybe a lot of other places, if you're on the West Coast or just any border state, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about, right? These people would get chased out of town. But in a lot of these other states, because these white people don't know, so on the East Coast we have these, what I'm gonna just they're fake Mexicans. All right, so they're these fake Mexicans. You got these these Guatemalans, these Hondurans, these who even knows what, but they're just they're other Central Americans. They're basically Guats and Hondurans. And they cap like they make Mexican food, because everybody knows like Mexican food, it's fire. They're about it, but they don't know anything about this fucking guat foods. They pretend to be Mexicans, and I'll go around to these places where I'm I see it right away. Like, okay, there's this place here in Ithaca. It's called CDMX. Okay. It claims to be authentic tacos, right? These tacos already. So first of all, anybody who's ever been to Mexico or anywhere Mexico adjacent knows the authentic tacos come on a fucking like a spit. You know what I mean? Like they don't fucking come just like from some like a little metal bowl or whatever. Or if they have, then they've been marinating all day. So he just pulls this fucking meat out and he like chops it up, and these are $8 tacos, right? And so I'm watching him and I'm like, the fuck? I'm like, yo, bro, why are you using the Walmart Great Value brand tortillas? And he's just like, and he's like, and then I'm like, no, for real. I'm like, those are disgusting, dude. I'm like, those are awful. And he's like, you know, and I'm just like, no, I'm like, have you ever, I'm like, you say you're from Mexico City. Like, you're from Mexico City? And he's like, yeah. And obviously I'm like, yeah, I'm from Mexico City. And I'm like, but not even that good of an accent. And I'm just like, oh yeah, like, have you ever been to the fucking taco stand there that's like a Michelin star taco stand? And he's like, no. And I'm like, or just any taco stand there. I'm like, do you think that they're gonna use fucking Great Value brand shitty? I'm like, at least get the Mission Hill brand, you know, like at least get the fucking Mission Hill yellow corn restaurant style ones. At the very least, put them underneath the counter. And he's just like, nah. And I'm like, you have no pride. Like no matter what, like fake Mexican. Do you know why? You know why he has no pride in this fucking talk? Because he's a fake Mexican. He's a Guatemalan. He's some Honduran capper who's out here trying to just be like, no, I'm from Mexico City. Like, it's authentic. And then just like, but has so little goddamn pride. Because I was like, also, why don't you just make fresh tortillas? And he's like, nah. And I was like, what do you mean no? I was like, he's like, take too long. I'm like, it doesn't take too long. I'm literally, you have the masa. It's already cheaper anyways. You just press it out on the tortilla press in like 30 seconds or less. And then you're ready to go. You're cooking. And I'm like, do you know what these white people's fucking heads would do if they pulled up for the authentic tacos and you're fresh pressing these tortillas, bro? Like, you're already charging $8 for these. Their fucking brains would melt. And he's just like, nah. And I'm like, all right. Well, whatever, fuck you then. So then I just was in California and I came out of an event I was at, and there was the woman out there. She was serving the tacos with her family, and I gave them a sick little swag pack. And the kid, she started pressing the tacos, and I was like, fuck yeah, fire. First, fires or taco. I don't remember what street corner I was on, but Fire Tacos is this little street corner. And I took a video because I was like, this is, first of all, you could see how fast it is. You know, it's like, it's fast. Like, she's quick with the prep. You know, she's like, and she got the little guy over there helping, or she got her husband over there helping cook everything. And so they're fucking on, and they put all this stuff on the side for you to just, you know, dish up however you want. And these tacos are like $2 maybe, you know, and they're fire as fuck. And so I take that back to the guy, because I live in this little small ass upstate New York town, and I take it back to the guy, and I was like, you see, I was like, fucking like, look, because he said, think too long, and I was like, and he just like, get out of my stand. And I'm like, fuck you, dude. Like, first, fuck you. Also, I'm calling ICE on you, dude. I don't even give a fuck if you have your papers or not. Like, if all this is on the uppity up, great. They're still coming here. They're still going to rifle your shit up. You're probably going to go to fucking whatever. And if it isn't, because if they can find any hole right now, they will, dude. You're getting deported. You're going straight to El Salvador. And good luck cooking your way back up here with those shitty ass, Great Value fucking tortillas, buddy. Whew. Yeah. You know, sometimes those, I mean, it irks my jaw for a reason. You know, it's just get... It's going to be actually my new title for Grinds My Gears. It's going to be Irks My Jaw, because just, I'm like, what do you mean, dude? $8, Great Value tortilla, dude. You're getting deported. That's what's happening now. These are the bad immigrants Trump was talking about, for sure. He's a criminal. Straight the fuck up. That's criminal of him to do. Pam Bondi or Tom Hammond, deportation czar. Come fucking bang my dude's line. Okay. For who blew it? The fucking airline controllers that didn't have perfect attendance, they blew it. So, I mean, they should have been at work. Like, if you fucking were calling out because you just didn't want to be there, knowing damn well, like, the entire country's skies rely on you, and the entire, like, fabric of our modern society, that's like one of our most consistently binding things. And honestly, anxiety for a lot of Americans is travel, and dealing with travel and cancellations and all these whatever things. So if you didn't show up to work just cause you're just like, oh, I got to work this other job, I can't, like, your life savings and everything are so bad, and you can't, like, there's all these programs too, like from fucking, like, there's hella short-term money lenders that were like reaching out and being like, yeah, no problem, we'll cover your paychecks, like your banks, like all these different programs. And instead of doing that, you just decided to call in sick so you could go fucking moonlight as like a 7-Eleven like, I don't even know what these pretend jobs are. So you could go moonlight as a gardener. You know, you're a bitch anyways. But so all the airline controllers that had perfect attendance during this time frame, they got a $10,000 check, just, you know, straight to the BizAnk. Good, you know, good for them. That's fucking, you know, a great move. But if you didn't attend for any reason at all, you blew it. So if you, like, there were some people that I saw that they left like 2 hours early to like attend their baby being born or something like that, and like that's the only attendance that they missed the whole time, and they're not getting the check, and a few other ones. So like, I guess all of those people blew. I think I was, you know, we'll see how it shakes out, but hopefully that there'll be an adjustment. Like, hopefully the labor, you know, union leaders could be like, okay, as long as you didn't use more than like 4 hours or 20 hours or like, I don't know what's legit. I don't know how long. It was like a month. It's like whatever the average is per month. As long as you didn't do more than that, you get this check. So yeah, those dudes blew it. This lady, insane. This is an insane level of you blew it. Like, this is as bad as that guy. Fuck, I can't even remember his name. That like fake actor dude or whatever who hired those two Samoan dudes to beat him up and say that, like, you know, that he got like assaulted by like, I don't know, like left wing, like, or right. I don't remember what this dude is, but he was like some like lame singer dude or actor dude, and he got canceled because, yeah, he hired these two Samoan dudes to fucking fake rob him. And so this lady on this tip, she's like a staffer, congressional staffer, and she found a guy online at like a tattoo artist scarist in Pennsylvania, and she scarred herself up nutty. Like, it would make the Joker be like, damn, bitch, like I like crazy bitches, but like, bitch, that's crazy. You know, like it was an insane level of scarification. Like, honestly, the dude who did it, he did it for $500. Look, I mean, this is why when the police were like, yo, like looked into it even at the slightest, it was like, oh yeah, no, this crazy bitch pulled up and she just gave me $500 to make it look like she got slashed by the fucking Wolverine. Like, not even like a low key, like, oh, just like give me this. Like, literally, like, it looked like the Wolverine himself, not the animal, tried to attack this bitch. It looks like Freddy Krueger straight up came out of her, like she was dreaming, and Freddy Krueger crawled and like filleted her skin from the inside and, like, you know, just a touch, and then she woke up. Like, that's how fucking like gnarly these cuts are all over her. And then she fucking called the police, and she said, and she had a friend zip tie. So dude, this whole thing is just so blown. Like, this dumb friend who was probably just like, damn, Jesus, like, or just really wasn't like that. He's probably on her team. He's like, yeah, like, oh, like, we're gonna really show whoever, and like who we verse. And so I don't know why, but I just imagine him as just like a fat incel, like weeby guy who's just like, what do you want me to do? Like, anything you want, like, and then so he zip ties her, but like poorly, because he doesn't, obviously he probably has like playing fucking 18 hours of World of Warcraft or whatever a day hands. So he zip ties her poorly. The cops pull up and they're like, okay. They're like, so somebody came and they fucking slashed you. And this is professional scarification that, even at the very least, even if she just left straight from the tattoo studio and went and did this, you'd be like, what the fuck? Like, Freddy Krueger's out in this goddamn park? Like, I've been a cop for a long time and I've never seen no fucking Freddy Krueger shit. And like maybe a jaguar, but like, you're telling me, which we don't even have jaguars out here, but you're telling me some like black guys did this, or some fucking what were they were screaming MAGA, you said? Or I don't even really know what, but and so even if you were to see it like that, you'd just be like, what? How? Huh? And so they right away were like, okay. And the guy, like, I think like tugged the zip tie a little bit and was like, this isn't even on tight. And they're like, okay, well, like, show us where show us, okay, where's your car? And so they took her to her car, because like, what are you doing here? So they took her to her car, and then they're like, why is there all the same zip ties in the back of the car that you had on you? And she's like, oh, I don't know. That's a weird coincidence. And they're like, there's only one missing from the bag too. And she's like, that's so strange. And then so, yeah, they took her whatever in, and they were like, you know, now she's being prosecuted for faking this assault and trying to make it like politically motivated. And I don't even know what the purpose it served to begin with. I don't know what the statement she was trying to make was. That really confounds me. Like, end goal seems very obscure in this situation. Like, at least the Spumoni guy or whatever that guy's name was, I don't know, like, he gets some type of, like, he's a famous person. So, like, I guess he gets some type of, like, I don't know, some type of his own, like, emotional, like, laurel medal or something where he can just be like, yeah, like, put this on my mantle next to whatever other famous people fucking put up there. But this chick is just a congressional staffer who's just like, I'm gonna be a headline for fucking 3 days about getting attacked in the woods by the goddamn Wolverine. And so, yeah, she's being prosecuted. She blew that. And is now scarred for life, like in a crazy way, like in a like literally wherever she goes for the rest of her life, people are gonna be like, dude, holy fuck, dude, what the fuck happened to you? Like, what the fuck, bitch? Like, what you got in? You raise tigers for a living? Like, what do you do? But you're the tiger queen? Like, you were in a fucking safari gone wrong? Like, what? Oh, you paid to do this to yourself so you could say some people attacked you in a park in DC. Damn. Well, fuck. I mean, down with the man. For my King Petty this week, King Petty this week is Mike Johnson. So, like... What even is an Epstein? What is an Epstein's? What are the Epstein files? What are they? What is in them? What's the deal? Why the fuck was Trump's whole political platform a huge, like, key issue of it was transparency? Why the fuck did you have these key officials saying that there was like a lot of it, that there's a lot of these whatever they say these files are, and then all of a sudden, then they just say that they're nothing, and we're just like, okay, like, whatever. And supposedly there's already versions of it that have been released, which nobody has made any sense of, because a lot of what a reason why they claim to obfuscate some of this truth is because that it's going to release a lot of names that, you know, didn't actually coordinate with this. There's no actual little black book, despite them saying that there was. And so I don't even know what an Epstein file, but I mean, so things have been trickling out. Obviously, we got the email chain. We got hearing about how Trump maybe gave Clinton a blowjob and a bunch of other crazy shit too. There's a lot of other crazy shit in those emails where if you go through, where just the very casual nature in which Epstein was engaging in, like, what you would call geopolitical statecraft on a global scale, in just a casual way, just like, why don't you, like, meet with Putin when you're like, he's just like talking to the Israeli prime minister and just being like, yeah, how about when you pull up to fucking Australia, or when you pull up to fucking wherever, like, why don't we just have Putin pull up, you know? Like, I mean, he's there, like, whatever, like, I could link that big dog, like, you know what I mean? And a lot of these other emails that just he's talking about, casually talking about, like, war profiteering, just being like, yeah, like, you know, like, there's this geopolitical strife going on that's like straight up genocide or genocide adjacent. Like, how can we make money off of this? And his friends are just being like, well, you know, like, you know, Jeff, we know that's you're a big thinker, you know, like, we love your big ideas. A lot of what we pay you for is your big ideas, the sex trafficking ring that you offer us, and all that's great, but in this context, that's not that'll be hard. It'd be a hard sell for us and our invest. And he's like, okay, whatever, just, you know, just a thought, when I keep my eye out for geopolitical strife, and coups and the whatnot, and I just obviously have this very high end, rich and wealthy social circle that allows me to make calls and plays that puts these key players in the room together. But there's absolutely nothing to see here, obviously, like post him being around. Like, he was that move maker, he was that taste maker, he was that fucking, that, you know what I mean, that YOLO guy, that fucking, you know. And now that he's dead, like, what does any of that even really matter? Like, what do we even really know? Like, why do so many people even really want to know what, like, you know, who the key players are in this crazy landscape of our wealthiest individuals, are some of our most high-powered politicians, international blackmail, money laundering? Like it's just gonna literally ruin all of your day. Like, most people's brains won't be able to handle, like, most people's brains could barely handle, like, the fact that, you know, at the very least, the United States knew about 9/11, you know, like, they saw it coming, and they're just like, well, fucking, like, just like, you know, like, maybe just, why don't we just run a bunch of drills on that day? Why don't we just run a bunch of drills about how, like, planes are getting jacked? So they can't handle that. They can't handle, like, knowing that your government doesn't have your best interest at heart already. Like, and so what are they going to do when it comes out that the president is maybe a pedophile straight the fuck up, or at the very least highly pedophile adjacent, while dealing with this person who's casually dealing with war profiteering, blackmail, geopolitical engineering, and fucking sex trafficking on a grand scale to the wealthiest demographic of our world and country and foreign leaders. So like for real though, big dogs, like, why do you even want to know that? But now that you do want to know so bad, they're releasing them. Mike Johnson's King Petty, because he's just been holding it out, like holding off a vote, fending it off. Like, I want to know too, like, what's changed? What's the difference? Why 6 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever it was Trump just being like, what's the big deal? I don't understand what everybody wants to know about all this Epstein nonsense. Like, this is just dumb. Like, so how do we go from that to being like, you know, but no, you can't know, you know, this is a matter of national security, to then them holding out on it for so long. Finally, it gets voted. He said he thought, he was under the impression that the rules were going to get changed and it was going to be better beneficial to what he thought, to, like, not allow all the transparency because of what he claims is national security interests. And so, which is weird. And so now it went to the Senate and it got passed, and now Trump just signed it and it's coming out. And it's like, what was the holdup though? You know what I mean? Like, what if this is all just like, what's changed? You know, like, how much, like, obviously it's got to the point where, like, Trump just gave him the signal where he's like, it's fine, vote on it. Like, they've already redacted my name and all of your names, like all of our friends and key donors and, you know, all the people implicated that any of us were afraid of, you know, sending the fucking Dixie Mafia to come and kneecap us or whatever. Now that all those names are redacted, like, it's fine, just fucking release it. Like, it's all good. I'm calling for you guys to release it. So that's probably what's changed. We'll see what its final end result is, like what's actually been redacted from it. And yeah, we'll see. But Mike Johnson, he's King Petty. Stranger than fiction. Trump calling to have politicians' heads cut off, to have them be hanged and tried for seditious behavior, for a trivial message. If you haven't seen, these politicians came out. So there's a few former service members that serve on Congress, and they came out and they said, hey, we know it's a tough time. We know it's a tough time being in the military and intelligence community. We know we have these experiences in our past, and we feel like it's just an interesting time, tough time, and we want to remind you to remember your oath of duty to the Constitution, that it's to the Constitution, and you're legally obligated to deny illegal orders, and just leave it at that. And so Trump starts rampaging, saying that it's sedition at the highest level. Like, these are literal quotes. It's sedition at the highest level, that they should be summarily executed, rounded up, and tried for treason, and reposting things about people saying that George Washington would have hanged them. And so there's a video with the press secretary where somebody asked her, like, because this dude is literally calling for the execution of sitting members of Congress, straight up, point blank, which they're getting all these crazy death threats. Like, you know, obviously now facing recourse of political violence. And we have seen in this year a Democratic member of Congress, Democrat sitting member of Congress, and her husband get killed from just a homicidal maniac, completely politically motivated. And so they're getting these wild death threats, being called seditionists, and all, obviously like a huge percentage of our population is radicalized and is, you know, saying wild things like that they, you know, that basically that they should be executed. And they do see the precedent of Trump already pardoning anybody who fucking breaks laws and you know, in his name. And so it's a tricky, weird time to be in, weird call to make. And so they asked the press secretary, they're like, does he want to execute sitting members of Congress? And she was like, no, the president doesn't want to do that. But why are you guys talking about what the president said? Why is everybody only talking about the president? First of all, full pause. Because the sitting president of the United States just called for the execution of sitting members of Congress because they expressed their right of freedom of speech, and reminded service members, which Trump ordered the military to open fire on Black Lives Matter protesters years ago in his first term. And the general at the time said point blank, no, I won't fucking do that. So Trump has issued illegal orders before that have had to be refused by the military. And they didn't say Trump. They didn't say which orders are or aren't illegal. They just said, hey, remember that this is the thing. You know, it's imperative that we don't repeat Vietnam and have troops killing fucking babies. Right. And so full stop, because why are we talking about what the president said? Because that's what the president said, that the people that said that should die. And so she goes off on this whole fucking rant, just being like, yeah, like they're terrible people. They're saying that the military shouldn't follow the president's lawful orders, the president's lawful orders, and blah. And then the person's like, hold on, sorry to cut you off, but like, they said to not follow illegal orders. And she's like, no, Karen. Okay, yes, Karen, they said that, but the implication they're implying that the president said is giving illegal orders and he's not. What are we even talking about here, lady? Okay, people, anybody who, that's nonsense. Maybe you disagree with the tone of what they said. Maybe you could say, you know, not maybe, depending on who you are, easy argument to make that it's an irresponsible statement to make. Like any reasonable president I would say ignore it, to maybe be like, yeah, it's not a very like, you know, times are crazy right now. It's not the greatest idea to put into people's heads, maybe to like follow orders that aren't being deemed illegal by our military channels or whatever. So, and you know, that's maybe what a press secretary could say that wasn't just always on the most sanctimonious nonsense. But no, of course their response is she quoted, they're literally telling the service members to deny lawful orders. And then they said, no, they're literally saying to deny unlawful orders. And she said, but the implication, well, what about what we asked you to begin with? Does the president want to kill sitting members of Congress because of his exact words saying that he wanted to execute them? I think has like it definitely is a much heavier implication than whatever the fuck they're saying. So I don't know. It's a very trash move to do to begin with, a very trash move to take. And it's fucking stranger than fiction. It doesn't seem like it could be a real fucking reality to me right now with that nonsense. So, okay, what's perf? What's perf this week? Mondami and Trump get along. Who would have thought? Mondami, the jihadist socialist that Trump and all these supporters of him have been calling in the news for weeks and months, shows up to the White House. You know, he shakes the fucking Teflon Don's hand and kisses the ring or whatever. You know, they do a little behind closed doors meeting. He schmoozes, you know, he's basically just like, look, actually, here's what I stand for. And actually, here's what's probably going to be able to actually reasonably able to happen. And obviously, just like everybody thought, nothing's changing in New York City. Nothing's really any different. Nobody's moving. None of the businesses are taking. MetLife is still going to be MetLife building. They didn't decide to go through with the plans to remove their entire name off the fucking building or whatever. And so since nobody's moving and everything's fine, he went and to basically literally, and this is what's bad with modern reporting, right? This is what's bad with modern media. This is why you got to get the news from the fucking Right Brain Forest podcast, because both sides just wanted them to fight. Like both sides, literally just like, like they're coming out, like, what, Mr. President, Mr. Mondami, like, what do you think? Like, do you think you should call him? Do you think he's a fascist? You called him a fascist, And then they're so chilled out, dude. Mondami's like, well, and he's like, you could do it. Trump's like, go ahead, call me a fascist. Like, I literally don't care. And he's like, you think that I am? And he's like, okay, yeah, fine, sure then. And they're like, like they just think that they got the hottest soundbite of the fucking year. And then the right-wing media is literally drumming that up. And they're like, he won't backtrack that. He won't recant it. Like, who would? Who cares? The president, who he's sitting there saying it, doesn't even care. And then they're trying to pull Trump into it. They're like, so like, what's up with the jihad? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is he, like, when's the holy war begin? And he's like, he's not a jihadist. He's like, he's not even a socialist. Like, he's just a fucking, whatever. And so he just downplayed the whole thing. Neither of them both of them were like, yeah, we had a cordial meeting. Trump said he would still live in Mondami's New York. He said, he wants to work with him more than against him. And he said, he's probably just going to give him, he said, he wants to give him a lot of help and more help than harm. And it all sounds great and perf. It sounds like really perf that this young guy is winning. And then the left, like the left side for their media. Yeah. And the left wing media, they're pissed. They're like, you weren't socialist enough there. You didn't stand on business enough. You didn't stand on business. You weren't hot. There wasn't enough hot takes. You didn't just walk in there and be like, listen, you fascist pig. Listen, you fascist dog. I'm going to show you what for. You remember in my political rallies when I said this, and like, this is like, you're going to kiss the ring. So they just tore him up for that. And you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't type of situation with the left and right wing. They just want us to fight. They want us to be, pulled apart. They want us to fucking, swing to the extremes of either polars, because that's how they keep getting the clicks, and that's how they keep getting that shmoney. This is another new one. Nature. What's good with nature? Nature's sometimes better than a lot. No, nature, not sometimes. Nature's way better than celeb. So this week we're doing what's good with nature. Raccoons are domesticated. They're showing all these signs of domestication. So like, if you want to get your kid a new cuddly pet this Christmas, like, you're thinking about the dog, do I get him a dog, or do I get him a cat? Do I get him a gopher, ferret? I heard that they can kind of stink. Or like, well, there's this family of raccoons ruffling around in my backyard. Like they're foraging in my trash can, and just go grab one, and then wrap that up, put that little coon underneath the fucking tree. And you might just have America's next hot pet, because raccoons are showing signs of domestication. And I think that I didn't read much about the article, but what I think that means is that basically if you just see a raccoon now, you can try to pet it, you can try to feed it, you could try to maybe trap it and bring it into your home and bring it around your children. Like I said, maybe get a baby one and just separate it from its family, bring it into the house, give it to the kid. Fucking new, like, then you'll start flexing on the block, because then your kid will be the first kid on the fucking block with the raccoon, and you'll just be rolling around with him on the leash, and it'll be like basically like some Lilo and Stitch shit, where somebody comes up with their dog, and the dog's like, smells a little funny, the raccoon's just like, like fucking mauls the dog's face, and they're just like, whoa, what the fuck is that? And he's like, it's my, it's my son's new raccoon. Like, fucking, oh, you ain't know? Like, you didn't know? Like, yeah, they're showing signs of domestication. This is why you got to listen to the Right Brain Forest podcast, bitch. Put them on fucking game. So yeah, look out for that. Look out for the new America's new hot pet, domesticated raccoons. Okay, the last thing I have, I'll close out with the tech. So these CEOs, they want you to love AI. They're just like, why don't you love it more? We're putting it in everything. We're spending so much money on it. Like we're spending so much money on it. Like we want you to love it. So the Google CEO said he's very puzzled by people being unimpressed by AI. He's like, what do you mean you don't love niche, or sorry, not even just hastily generated stock photos, basically. Like how everybody used to use stock photos for memes, and they're like instantly identifiable and kind of iconic for some of them. Like, yeah, those got replaced by fucking procedurally generated images that is dwindling our water resources, and we're firing so many people over it. Like, what do you mean you're not impressed? Like, We got this in. We spent so much money. We integrated it into every part of your fucking life. Like we put it in your phones without you asking. We put it in your TVs and your refrigerators without you asking. Like you're getting smart ads on your TV now without even asking. All because of AI. We're giving you so much opportunity here, and you just spit in our face with this. And it's just like, you know, it's I just think it's funny is all. Like as the CEO of Google, you know, as somebody who just is highly invested and has fucking billions and billions of dollars, and a bunch of people who use my product are saying like they could really care less for the integration and whatever. Like honestly, I just think it's funny. It's like it's comical really is what it is, because you guys are fucking plebeians, and what would you even know? Anyways, we're gonna change your lives. We're gonna revolutionize it. You're gonna love it. Sit tight, because this is just the beginning. So they want you to love it. They love it more. Give it. Like we're spawning your new AI overlord, technocrat society, and you're gonna love it. And if you don't, well, you're gonna live by the stinky bog like Shrek shitting in an out shack. So Gam, get ready to pick, or I'm gonna pick for you. Okay. We're now this close to having digital. There's already fucking porn, like AI porn. We're so much closer to the Tesla suckbots, it's not even funny. We're so much closer to the fucking Facebook perma suckatron suckfest device, because they just invented these new haptic gloves, and they're these tech gloves that are allowing you to, they have little vibrating sensors in them that connect you. They just like pinpoint your fingers, and they're adding texture to things. So you can touch your phone, and they're like adding braille to like reading on phones. Crazy. And then they're just practicing just different whatever things, and I'm like, this is so close, right? We're building the AI, we're building the metaverse, we got the Tesla suckbots definitely on the way. We have the Japanese suckbots already made, but like the way that things are being tariffed right now, like those are probably just ridiculous. So Tesla suckbots, American made suckbots on the way, with the American designed and Chinese produced Meta Suckverse glasses. And then you get the fucking haptic gloves, dude, that have the vibration. And then now digital tits are real. You know, you're literally just like, you know, like, this is how they're going to get us like subdued, right? Because like men are definitely like the warring class of like, we got all the testosterone, and like we've, you know, been responsible for most like crazy, you know, wars in history and all that other stuff. So like we're like the warring demographic. And so they're just like, look, like as long as we can make the men chilled out, and we give them the fucking Meta Suckverse glasses, we give them the Tesla Suckatron 5000 suckbot, and you give them the haptic gloves so they can actually feel like they're touching real tits, and it's over. We will effectively have all of the control. So, you know, look next Christmas, everybody's getting the fucking Neuralink, the suckbot, and the haptic tit receiver gloves. Hope everybody has a good night.